Hey, my name's Daniel Baldassar. I've been investing in real estate for 3 years. I own 11 units, and I've never had a job that pays more than $35,000 in a year. Over that time, I've raised over $200,000 from private investors, and I'm going to show you my framework that you can use to get capital for your business ideas. The BOSS framework for raising private capital. B, be trustworthy. O, overcome beliefs. S, structure your plan. S, sell to investors. The origins of the BOSS framework. I was washing the dishes, listening to a real estate education podcast, hoping for the missing piece of information or paradigm shift that comes once in a blue moon to grow me to the next stage of business. Tired from a long day of work, shirt soaking wet because even after 30 years, I still never expect the spoon to do that thing when I go to rinse it. Just then, the guest starts talking about his private money partner, a man who had just sold a business and had more money than he can imagine. He wanted to continue to grow it, but he didn't really want to be the one to do it. I mean, after all, he just sold a business. If he wanted to keep working, he could have just kept it. It was at that moment that the thoughts from the last couple weeks came together. Like I was Jimmy Neutron from the old Nickelodeon show. My brain lit up and all the separate pieces I've been wrestling with came together. I had already raised private money and I hadn't even realized it. My mother had actually lent me some money for some deals that I did earlier. And the reason she had the money is because she's a hardworking woman who mastered her craft, and maybe because she grew up in a different time without the same access to information, or maybe she just wasn't really interested in learning about real estate investing. But that was the shift in my beliefs. If there was one person with extra cash who doesn't want to take the time to learn investing, then there must be more. And like the business leaders that I admire, I seen a problem and I was determined to solve it. In the following presentation, I'm going to take you through the BOSS framework I used to create my pitch and finally walk you through the exact presentation that I used to raise over $200,000. When this is through, you'll be able to ask yourself similar questions and begin to understand you don't have a money problem. You only need trustworthiness, a better belief system, and an easy to understand map to pitch to investors. Be trustworthy. So if you want to build a house, you start with the foundation. The first thing you have to do is be the kind of person that people would invest with. As I mentioned earlier, I've never had a job that pays more than $35,000 a year. With that being said, you cannot find an employee that has anything bad to say about the way that I worked. I know there's a lot of stigma from artists and creative types that you shouldn't work just for exposure. And while it is true that you should know your worth, there is a time and a place where you need to build your skills and your reputation, and money is not the only way that you're compensated for working. Also, your day job is an excellent place to demonstrate your positive attitude, willingness to work well with others, and problem-solving skills. All of these will be detrimental when you're under the pressure of running your own business, so you might as well practice while the stakes are low. And in today's environment where 50% of college graduates don't even work in a field that they went to school for, do not underestimate the power of getting paid to learn a new skill, even if it's at a low wage. Reputation is not only going to come from work, but how you present yourself in everyday life. Make sure you put some thought into your image, your brand, if you will. You never know who may be a potential investor, so you want to consider the image that you're giving off to the world. Are you on social media showcasing reckless behavior? Are you always at the bar and getting in fights? Are you always bragging about the latest thing that you bought, but you're clearly behind on your bills? I am not advocating that you can't drink or you have to live the perfect life, but you must understand, in the world we live in today, where everything you put out is on your permanent record. And if you want people to trust you with the big things, then it's important to cultivate a reputation of discipline when it comes to the small things. Take some time and ask these questions about your own life. And if the answers are not exactly the ones you want to get, don't worry. There's always time to start from where you're at and reach the goal that you want to achieve. To wrap this section up, being the kind of person that people would want to invest with means being the kind of person that keeps their word. If you say you're going to do a job, then do it without complaining and do it right the first time. If someone's going to trust you with a large sum of money, then this will be expected. Also use everyday situations to show that you're willing to think to solve problems. Make sure not to have a "that's not my job" attitude. Owners don't get to say that or they go out of business, so you might as well practice when the stakes are low. I have been criticized in the past about doing too much for my job, but you cannot put a price on a good reputation. And finally, make sure to work on your money management skills. It only gets harder to keep track of as you get more of it. People are watching, and it can sometimes make many years for planted seeds to bear fruit. But once they do, they can sustain you for a lifetime. Overcome beliefs. Once you can look yourself in the mirror and truly say that you're the type of person that can be trusted to be invested with, then it's time to shed any limiting beliefs that you have about your ability to raise money and run a successful business with it. I can assure you that I've had thoughts in the back of my mind that have possibly closed off some doors, but we all have made choices, and we need to start from where we are and work to the future that we want to attain. So how do we do that? I've struggled with self-confidence my entire life. The best way that I have found to deal with this is to go out in the world and see what you're capable of. Have you ever seen the Jim Carrey movie, Yes Man? In that movie, Jim Carrey is stuck in a rut in his life. And he goes to a motivational seminar, and they tell him to just say yes to everything. After taking that literally, he takes it too far, gets himself in absurd and dangerous situations, but finally finds some balance and gets him out of that place in his life. When I was a young man, I went through a very similar journey. I was tired of being unskilled and unconfident, so I got uncomfortable, and I started saying yes when people asked me to do things I was scared of. After a short season of that, I said yes to going on a tandem skydive, and that led to the next 10 years of my life as a professional skydiver. During that journey, I learned greater discipline, greater attention to detail, and a newfound courage to try new things. If I never faced the world to find out what I'm truly capable of, I wouldn't be able to hold myself as the man with a demeanor who knows his true worth. You don't have to follow my exact journey, but you know what fears you're hiding from, and if you don't face them, you'll never reach your true potential. Structure your plan. So now that you've shown that you're a trustworthy person and have the can-do attitude to match, it's time to get down to your business plan. Let's say you wanted to go to New York, from New York to California to visit some relatives. And I wanted you to come with me. Well, first thing to point out, I know where I'm going. So that's going to help you make a decision a lot faster. So I take my GPS and I put in the GPS. Now we have a route to get there. And we don't have to follow this exact map. Along the way, we might see an attraction, so we might change the plan slightly there. Or we might see some food that's not on the East Coast, so we might change the plan slightly there. We might even get a flat tire, so things take a little bit longer than we expected them to. But that's okay, because plans never go exactly like they're supposed to. But I bet you would feel a lot more comfortable with that than if I just asked you to get in the car with me with no gas money, no cell phones, no spare tire, like some reckless teenagers. That being said, business is not much different. You must know the problem that you're going to solve, visiting a relative, how you're going to solve it, driving across the country, and finally, a general idea of how you're going to execute. In this case, Google Maps. To give you a practical example, I'll use my real estate business. We're always going to want to work backwards from the thing we're trying to solve, because that's going to give us clues on how to get there. I want to provide generational wealth for my family so we can work on bettering ourselves and buy back our time. And in turn, when we do that, we can have a greater positive impact on our community. Real estate investing has a proven track record of creating wealth, so I chose that for my vehicle to get to my destination. Finally, I need the map to get there. Just like when going from New York to California, there are many routes, so too, there are many routes to becoming a real estate millionaire. No big deal. That just requires a little bit of self-reflection and trial and error. Remember, we said earlier, it's not uncommon to change your route once you're on the go. So I asked myself, what are my strengths? Between my brother and I, we have the skills to fix basically anything in a house, so we can have cheap labor. I'm a realtor, so I can save on fees. I have a track record of having rental properties, so if I can't sell them, I can just pull a mortgage, and I have a well-running system to handle a renter, as well as a proven track record of our system working, verifiable by a social media presence, well-kept financial reports, and before and after pictures of all of our previous projects. So with all my tools available, I designed a map working backwards from my destination. I decided that we would flip 7 houses per year, selling some and keeping some for rentals. I decided the amount of money it would take to sustain a business of that size: payroll, interest payments, materials, expected profit margins. I looked from every angle I could to think of compensation for whatever risk possible. Finally, I looked at other investment vehicles I can find to be as competitive as possible in the marketplace. Once I had a well-articulated, easy-to-understand map drawn, I took it to my friends and family and I asked them if they wanted to go on a journey with me. Sell to investors. Now that we know where we're going, the delivery of our idea is just as crucial. You got to remember, this isn't a charity. You're not asking somebody to do you a favor, but this is a business transaction. If you've executed correctly, the investor should leave the transaction feeling like you did them a favor, and there's no better place to put their money. My goal when I get money from an investor to make them so much that they want to shout it from the rooftops. When thinking of the investment presentation as a product for sale, it helps to think of yourself as a salesman. I don't have much experience in this area, so I only know one tip. If you think back to when you were a child and whatever your favorite thing was, if it was Power Rangers or whatever it was at the time, you cannot help yourself from telling everybody about it like it's the greatest thing possible. So when you present your investment presentation, if you feel that way about it, it will come through in your speech. And if you don't feel that way about it, you need to go back to the drawing board and come up with a better plan. Have enthusiasm and confidence in yourself, but never deny that there's risk in your investment, and make sure that you're as honest as possible about all aspects of your presentation. Although there's risks in every investment, it is your job to mitigate those risks, but you'll never be able to remove all of them. As a general idea, proactive is better than reactive, but that's still better than doing nothing at all. Once you have the help that you're looking for, go out there and make it happen. Just don't forget how you got the investors in the first place. If things aren't going to plan, be honest early, and remember, everything is your fault. You have an obligation to make your investors whole again. Lastly, I'm going to go through the pitch that I used to raise over $200,000. I made that presentation on Canva. Slide 1. Introduction page with the company logo. It's important to try to make it look professional. Selling yourself and your business, and it is an aspect of every business, so you want to show that you take this serious. Slide 2, table of contents. Again, it doesn't have to be exactly this way, but you want to create an image of professionalism. Slide 3, introducing myself. Many of the first people you talk with will be friends and family, but as things grow, the goal will probably be reach colder and colder audiences. So I really like the idea of grounding me as a real person with things to lose on my end to establish my commitment to the goal. Slide 4. Here I give examples of some hands-off investment options and their returns to ground my request to other real-world options. Slide 5. After establishing what some other options might look like, now I let them know from a 30,000-foot view where I plan to give for returns and what I plan to do with the money. Slide 6 and 7. Here I go into further detail of the loans, of the terms I would like. I'd also like to point out that everything is negotiable. This is just a starting place that I know for sure will work with my business model. Slide 8. Here, I break down how I'm actually going to get your money back to you in 10 months. Slide 9. Contingencies. This one is a big one. You want the investors to know that you are thinking about the safe return of their capital and getting ahead of problems. It's not a matter of if, but when an issue arises, and how are you going to deal with that. Slide 10. Here, I break down all of the competitive advantages I have in this field to increase my chances of success. This is where self-reflection comes into play. This specific plan will only work for me because I have a lifetime of unique skills that I have acquired. But this is true for everyone, and you need to find the angle that increases your chances of success. Slide 11 and 12. I get into the specifics of my business plan. This is exactly what I intend to accomplish over the year and how your investment is going to fuel the business to get there. Slide 13. Here I break down exactly how much I believe I need to get me to my destination. Slide 14 through 18. Here I show some before and after pictures of previous projects as well as the expenses and profits for each one. As you are building your business, it is important to try to do everything the right way from the very beginning. In order for me to have this, it means I have already been keeping my finances organized, and there is a high likelihood that it will continue the trend. Slide 19. This slide sums up my past work and elaborates on how I intend to make things run more efficiently in the future. Slide 20. Breakdown of my current rental portfolio. This shows what I've already accomplished and what I'm already managing, so the investors can feel good that I have a working system in place to handle not only plan A, but if I have to go to contingencies, then the portfolio is built on a solid foundation and can handle it. Slide 21, an outro. Again, just trying to keep things looking professional. Slide 22, and this last slide, one last visual aid to show there's no better place to grow their hard-earned money than Baltazar Rentals. To sum it all up, build trust. Before ever asking for money, be the kind of person who's worthy of receiving it. Overcome beliefs. You must believe that you can accomplish great things, or no one else will. Structure your plan. Work backwards from your destination and build a map for somebody who knows nothing about your industry to understand. Sell to investors. And finally, go out there and get the presentation in front of as many people as possible. This is Daniel Baltazar with Baltazar Rentals. This video is brought to you by LS Productions. You can see more about what I'm doing at Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Baltazar Rentals. Baltazar Rentals year-end 2025 goals are have 5 full-time team members making a positive impact on the community, raise $1 million, and have $10,000 donated to the charity of the employee's choosing. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. I really hope it affected you, and get out there and grow your businesses.
What you doing?